Today's topic, how do you improve our education? And especially they're asking about the pedagogical issue. And you also hear the word andragogy, that also teaching of adult. So it's about learning and teaching. I always thought about what does it really take to develop meaningful learning materials, regardless if it's e-learning, web-based or CD-based. What does it take to create meaningful learning? It has to be meaningful in a way that you as a professor, you as a teacher, you as a trainer is meaningful to you when you see that your students understand what you're trying to say and would comprehend that understanding and actively use that, transfer this knowledge the place they want to go. And you want to see that your students do not drop out from your course, stay with you, join with you with the learning processes. So that's make an instructor or teacher happy. And then at that moment, learning, teaching is meaningful to the teacher. When will it be meaningful to the students? Students will be enjoying your class, not too much pressure, learning with fun, be creative, be constructivist, be brave enough to ask your question, and your answer will give the person and the students transfer the knowledge, not being afraid of talking, and enjoy the class, and wanted to come back to your class next day, learn more. So if that happens in your class, then students' learning is meaningful. How about e-learning? In e-learning, when you're offering these courses, there are technical people are involved. Here, bandwidth is very slow. So students taking e-learning courses, they will complain. You as a teacher, you do not know what is the problem. You know the problem of education, but you don't know the problem of the technical infrastructure. Then there is a person involved in this is called technical support staff. Now, technical support staff also a part of your e-learning, your learning. How is it meaningful to him? It will be meaningful to that particular person when he sees the courses that he is helping you technologically, he's not getting too many complaints. So you have to think about whole village, all the members of the society who are involved in this process. Think about librarian. If you ask your student, go and find out something about CERC and do a study, do a research on recent development of CERC projects on education, they can go to the library. And the librarian would be happy if he or she can provide fully right stuff, good materials to your students. So that makes a librarian happy, and librarian is meaningful. What makes your institution happy? See, we all teach, we are only thinking about my students and instructor, but there are other people involved. How about your school? There are so many stakeholders. So how about your community, your temple, your church, your mosque, your community of hospitals? All these people employing you in future who will be benefited from your work, are they happy with your education? So you need to even get your students involved with your community and see what makes them happy, what they expect. The community, the government, the schools employ to you. Are they getting their money's worth? Even though I know all over the world teachers are underpaid, but still you took the job. Your pleasure, your satisfaction will come only that you are made happy first. If you're not happy, your learning community is not going to be happy. I said web-based instruction is the hypermedia-based educational program where we use the attributes of the internet with instructional design ideas to develop meaningful learning environment where learning is fostered and supported. I pioneered the word web-based instruction. You do not necessarily have to take my model, but this model is developed to raise your own concern and see what are the things that you need for e-learning or even classroom-based learning. So when I was talking about the learners put it at the center of the model, so you keep asking these questions. So I get so many questions from mind the issues, you must have these issues solved. Then I didn't stop there. Then I've been invited to different places and asking people, what do you think the right things to do? They give me some issues. And then I started reading books and more. And I realized there are so many issues that you cannot even think about. Sometimes you feel like I should not do e-learning. Then I did a cluster analysis. I found these are the issues actually fall under these 8 categories. You can create the same model of yourself. This is nothing intellectual model. This is a common sense making model. I went to people, I thought about the people, and they tell me different kind of issues. So make a common sense model for your own teaching, whatever you're consultant or you're teaching. Because you want to make sure that you are valued. Only way you can value it if you plan ahead and think about who are your customer. You all are my customers. Your customer, when you go back, is your student and also the society at large. Now, with this octagon, these are the pedagogical issues. There are so many pedagogical issues came. I put it under there. Technological issues. Pedagogical issues, by the way, someone is developing a flash program. It's on the web. You can take the test to keep your brain refreshed with all the categories of the model. So anything to do with infrastructure, bandwidth, hardware, software is technological issue. You should be thinking about what you're doing. Just to introduce a little 2 minutes flash program for your students, think about, put that in the center of the model and be concerned with the issues surrounding the model. Interface design, the layout. You know the layout, how it looks. Even in the physical classroom, how things are set up, where the professor or teacher should be. You know, the layout is interface design. Evaluation. Evaluation is basically, at the college level, students evaluate teacher, the professor. And if they do well, they stay. If they don't do well, they are replaced. For online or e-learning or blended learning, since they are all over different places, there are so many people involved. So you need to have assessment of learner and evaluation of all the people are involved. If the technical person did not do a good job, you should not be responsible for that. Your responsibility, your pedagogy part, your teaching part. Management. This flash program you're creating, where are you going to put it? Who's going to update it? A lot of maintenance involved, right? Think about that. Now, support. Think about the students in the Amazon forest in Brazil. What kind of resource support you provide him? Is it going to get something online support or offline support? Offline means not from online, right? Will you have a library next to him, you walk in and find a place to read? Think about your situation. Ethical. Well, ethical issues, for example, Tibetan history. If a Tibetan professor writes about the Tibetan latest history and a Chinese professor writing about the Tibetan history, you think they'll be the same? Because it's a controversial issue, right? So there are ethical issues involved in teaching. Institutional issues, your school, your college, any issues, academic quality, and services for the students, this fall under institution. So having said that, today I'm going to focus on pedagogy. We talk about meaningful learning. And I realize that to create the meaningful learning, we have to think about who are involved in it. Teachers, students, community, librarian, tech support. And I also thought about what would be the issue that a student should ask or we should address so that they can have meaningful learning. Also for other people. Based on that, I was able to bring 8 categories most valid because I have tested with different organizations. They said, yeah, this seems like good, you know, all the issues. I put all the issues together and I explained to you what each dimension represent. Now let's talk about pedagogy. If you can meaningfully create integrate technology with pedagogy, then we can have successful e-learning. What it means, actually this statement I made Times of India when they interviewed me in 2003. Because India has a lot of technology involvement, but the pedagogy of instructional design, they were more curious about it. So I said, if you have them together, then you can be a leader in e-learning. So it goes for every country I speak to. Only I changed the name, but the same thing. So you see, Pedagogy is how people learn, how you are able to teach a specific content in a meaningful way so that that person, that your student, is learning. That is what the pedagogy is, learning and teaching. There are a lot of theories, learning theory, instructional theories, help you use those theory to apply for your lesson plan so that your learner will benefit. For online learning, e-learning, blended learning, you have technology. So, but you need to be able to understand the capabilities of technology, types of content, subject you're teaching, whether they match or they're useful, then it's going to be successfully learning. You just don't put the computer for every subject. If a surgeon operates on someone, you don't want to teach that online. You can show them someone is doing it, and this is how one is done. You can see on the video screen. But if that doctor wants to operate on someone, he has to touch blood, right? So you cannot teach someone how to operate on someone just using computer. So computer in this situation is just a display medium for you to see how others do it. For you to learn that, you have to use your hand and you have to touch blood and emotions of people. So you just don't forcefully integrate any kind of subjects to be taught using up any technology. So E means technology. Learning means pedagogy. So when say e-learning, E for technology, electronic, right? That is a technology part. Learning is a pedagogy. E-learning, E is electronic, learning is pedagogy. Now pedagogy, instructional design. Instructional design is a very unique field these days. It's very sought after positions in the United States and rest of the world, even in India. And I will talk to you about some initiative that I'm also going for instructional design. Instructional design is basically helping you to have a better pedagogy. Many of you are from different subjects, right? What is the difference between face-to-face, closed system of learning versus open and distributed learning? Do you understand what that means? Like today, this is a face-to-face, closed system of teaching. Because I am, says on the stage, I know everything, I am delivering knowledge to you face-to-face. I have no connection to the world. So this is a closed system. But e-learning is not a closed system. It is open. You can get to my website, you can Google anything, anytime. Anytime, and from any place, anywhere. This is called open, open, open. Like British Open University is open learning. What are the distributed? Asynchronous or synchronous way, but it's not located in one place. It can be distributed over different networks of systems. But this face-to-face classroom is not distributed. All of you are here, all the system are here. Try to understand between closed system of learning versus open system of learning. If you understand that, then you would know whether I basically have worked with the governments, especially education ministers, to develop their e-learning plan. One thing I have to make very clear to the governments is this open means things are very flexible. Things are distributed all other places. But closed system means you are teaching something within the confine of a classroom. See, I'm not saying anything new, really. You know it, but I'm probably helping you to rethink about issues that you probably see it, but don't feel like talking about it. So I am kind of encourager. I'm encouraging you to think harder. Why are you wasting your time doing this flash program? Think about whether it's going to make your student happy. Is it going to make you happy? Otherwise, don't waste your time. So same way. So I am basically planning for you that things are closed. In the closed, you probably don't need that. Even though you are working in a closed system, trying to create something good for open system. So now you say, no, why should I ever do it since I'm not getting all the opportunity for the open system? It's like force fitting. If there is a need, you give them that. If a child is hungry, you give them the food, he will eat it. If child is not hungry, when you give them food, they don't eat them. So we waste the food. So if a child is hungry, you give the food, they will use it. If the child is not hungry, you give them food, they waste it. I feel that when there is something needed, you give them. Maybe someone would not like the flash program you're doing. Don't force them. Because the individualized learning, if you know the instructional design, you will know right away. It's waste of your time and money. You're creating something the person does not like it because of the learning styles. See, in education, they might cover curriculum and instruction. Some of the learning styles, learning preferences, they can, think about that. So you need to think about your students, what they like. Do you know about your students? Have you done a survey? Do you know whether they're visual learner or audio learner or they learn from abstract? See, you should think about your learner before even thinking about using any kind of learning technology or learning strategies for the students. So know your learner first, then you understand what can you do with your learner. So open and distributed cognition, meaning that something can be given to the students when they need it, when they have it, and how they want to have it. And distributed means the materials could come from portal in Harvard University, could come from Ministry of Education in Nepal. So things, the knowledge are distributed. Now I'm going to define what is e-learning. It basically sounds difficult, but not difficult. I already talked to you about this. It says that you look into the internet and other digital technologies, CD-ROM. You have to see what their capabilities are. For example, you want to show them a mechanical operation is going on. Maybe video would be a good thing to do, right? So video is the capability of digital technology. So what kind of content you want to cover? The content can be divided into 4. Factual, like who is the current president of the United States, is a factual knowledge. Second one is called verbal information. Second one is intellectual skill. Every subject has this 4 domain of knowledge. Verbal information, which is like factual, something facts. Second one is intellectual skill, meaning that how to balance a checkbook is an intellectual skill, right? You have to do math, problem solving. Third one is psychomotor skill. Psych means mental, motor means you have hands-on. The fourth one is attitudinal. Attitude. Suppose I'm going on a plane and my attitude is this, I'm going to smoke. So it's my attitude. So sometimes we, as a teacher, we forget or mix that we use the different kind of methods for the wrong kind of content. You have to think about, is it that I'm teaching, is it factual knowledge? Is it truth in it? Or is it a psychomotor skill that it needs some thinking and also the physical activity? Or is it attitudinal skill? Or it is intellectual skill? Now, when you think about all the capabilities of the internet digital technology, what can internet do? Internet can send you email, internet can show you a picture, you can run a simulation or flash program on internet or digital technology. Now you think about which can you use the thing that you teach. You have to do the content analysis. What is it within the subject you are teaching best fit with what the technology get to offer you. So in face-to-face classes, you cannot bring all these people to show. You can just tell them, show them picture. But with the flash program or other thing, you can dramatize this thing. That it will have a very permanent effect on this student's mind. These are all issues that I'm talking about, is basically to give you better planning for your e-learning. So e-learning, instructional design is the one domain of discipline is helping you to identify what type of contents you have. I'm giving you another one. Case study is an instructional strategy. So you have to find out under what condition a student should do the case study. Then you have to look into internet and digital technology. Can students use any of these available technologies to do the case study? Role play. Role play is an instructional strategy. So you have to find out what types of content in your subject you're teaching, the role play can be used. And you have to look at the computer, whether any of the activities of the computer or digital technology you can use. For example, one of our Bangladeshi gentlemen got the Nobel Prize, for the microcredit. So you can show his video part of internet in your class. Look at this guy, the gentleman from poor country like Bangladesh was able to come up with such a good framework, the rest of the world is using it. So that will be a role portrayal of him to the internet. Let me give you another instruction strategy. Debate. Debate can be an instructional strategy. If you have a controversial issues, even in computer science, chemistry, physics, whatever social sciences, if you can have a debate between people, that means you have to think about, in my teaching, the debate should be on attitudinal skill type of domain and controversial issue. So debate is an instructional strategy. Then you have to look into technology. What would be the technology they can use to the debate? Well, they can do email, right, to the rest of the class, or discussion forum in low level. They can have a conferencing video conferencing to do that. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that first, identify what is that you want to teach. Second, if you know the type of content that is, then you can look into and recommend it in instructional strategy. Drill and practice, debate, mentoring or role playing and things like that. And then look into technology. Technology should not come first. You should first go to your learner. Look at your capabilities of your school. Look at your interest. And then do the math right, that I am sure that I want to do a debate in the class. And then you see, I have some technologies available. Can I use them? Then use it. Just don't force feed it. It doesn't go. Oil and water doesn't mix. Sometimes it looks like it makes, but later on it doesn't. Same way, if you force feed, it's going to haunt you. It's going to come back to you. So e-learning is an innovative way. You should be creative. It's well designed right for your students. Then you have the learner centered, because you put the learner at the center of your octagon. You have to think about your learner all the time. That's your best customer. Interactive. Is it interactive enough? And facilitate it, meaning that learning should be fostered. When they need help, you facilitate. When they don't need help, don't give the facilitation, because you're wasting your time. And it has to be done to anyone, any place, anytime. This is what I've been talking about. So you utilize the attributes, means the capabilities and resources of various digital technologies, along with other forms of learning materials. Other forms means could be a newspaper, piece of newspaper, could be a textbook. To do what? Suited for open and distributed learning environment. So what you need to do basically is to see what are the technological facilities you have in your schools, and what are the newspapers available, or the magazines available, or even a human, a person in the village. He's so knowledgeable about the preserving our culture, go to him, bring him in person, interview him. So use any different kind of resources you have, because that best suits your learning. Enjoy teaching. I have enjoyed teaching, and I also was bored teaching students when students were not interactive. Now, e-learning. You can talk about e-learning in many places. What they do, we want to do e-learning. So what they say, okay, digitized all the materials you have, and it's in e-learning. Do you think that's possible? You have a face-to-face classes you're teaching, your lecture, your lesson plan, you digitize them, put them online. Is it going to be e-learning? Because I show you the model. All the areas of the model you have to cover to do e-learning. So just digitizing any materials and put it online, that doesn't mean meaningful learning. Because it's a different kind of environment. Your classroom was for the closed system. But open learning is a different thing. It's a different culture. Because face-to-face classes, here you have the opportunity to interact. When you put the same materials online, they don't see you anymore. In instructional design, techniques must be thought of in a way that they are appropriate for what you're trying to teach. And then look into all the media. You could be a media and blended learning. Blended learning means you include different forms of learning together. Follow me? In most cases, it's blended learning. Something you cannot do through online, so you use face-to-face interaction, so it's blending. Ultimately, it's not very difficult. E-learning is not very difficult. Just knowing what kind of things you have available and what you're trying to teach, whether you can put them together to achieve the goal. Okay. For example, umbrella. When you're holding the umbrella, what is the goal of the umbrella? To protect you from rain or sun. Okay. So that's the goal. If all the shicks or the spokes of the umbrella is in the right positions, strong enough, it can help you to protect you from the rain. If one is broken and then you got the splash of water on that side, each of these shick or spokes are the objectives. In instructional design, the goal of your class or the umbrella is to protect you from the rain. Then you have to come up with specific objectives that this shick should be able to do that. This should be able to do that. So learning objectives in the lesson plans that you have or terminal objectives are like a spokes of the shick of umbrella. You must have a goal which is very overall. You cannot achieve the goal 100%, but you can achieve the objective 100%. That's why objectives are known as performance objectives. So you have to think about, suppose you are designing an online learning, e-learning. Establish a goal. Then establish specific learning outcomes or learning objectives. Goal is the overall what you're thinking. Objectives are the smaller outcome-based, terminal, performance-based objective. So objective must be achieved. Can you teach people how to add things? Yeah, 2 plus 2 equals to 4. So you're teaching addition. Subtraction, 4 minus 2 equal to 2. So you're teaching them. Then multiplication, now do 2 times 2 equals to 4. Because without knowing multiplication, they cannot do division, right? So if you want to teach people division, then they have to learn multiplication. And before they learn multiplication, they need to know addition and subtraction, right? So it means whatever you do a goal, like your umbrella. And then identify specific objectives. So in instructional design, it starts with this, goal and objectives. Then if objective can be psychomotor objectives, objective can be attitudinal objectives. So your whole thing is that at the new course you're starting, you have a goal and you come up with objectives. And your objectives will tell you whether you are required to use psychomotor skill or attitudinal skill. Then those objectives will tell you what are the recommended strategies. So these are basic instructional design. For e-learning, instructional design is not all that you need. You need more. Remember in the octagon, pedagogy and evaluation. It doesn't talk about ethical and other issues. You see? So in e-learning, you have to think about a lot of cross-cultural communication issues, which is a part of ethical dimension. Because we are blessed with offering our courses not to our people, to overseas also. The world will be so globally next to you. You'll be surprised what you can do. Pedagogy. Within the pedagogy, you can see there are subcategories. Content, audience, goals. For example, you are teaching an e-learning course. So students learning about new policy of education in Nepal. You know the policy changes, right? New government comes, policy can change. So there are 2 types of content. Some contents are stable, never change. Think about Mahatma Gandhi. He died, right? He was assassinated. That information is stable, right? It's never going to change, right? We have already decided, and the whole world knew he was assassinated, right? Martin Luther King, he was assassinated. So this type of content, writing about them, or a speech, I have a dream, speech by Martin Luther King. Is it a stable content? It's never going to change. What will be a dynamic content? Something that change. A policy, CERC policy on something in these Asian countries may change. So that is dynamic content. Policy changes, politics changes, your liking changes. In the online learning, students will look into whether is any changes. So if any changes, you can online is a good thing. If I have a dream speech by Martin Luther King, say bandwidth is a problem. If you put that online, they cannot run it. Because online is not a good candidate, should not be used for stable content. Because I have a dream video, that's a stable content. You can send them through CD. But a policy can change, so you can use it for the e-learning internet part of it. See, CD-ROM is also digital, it's e-learning, but which one is good for stable content, which one is good for dynamic content. So people will be looking into how often, this is students ask me the question, and they look into the site, how often you're going to update the dynamic content. You told them, here is a case of this thing happened in this country, and I'm going to give you more as I know more. So they will go there, right? Wanted to see if you have updated that. So in your designing the courses, you as a designer, you should be thinking about what are the content that I could have. It's called content analysis. Some goes into dynamic content, some goes into stable content, static. For the static one, I can put on the newspaper, on the book, or I can put it on a CD-ROM. I don't want to burden bandwidth bottleneck by putting these things in there. It's easy. Next one, your audience. Who are the learners? Do you know enough of them as a distance learner? Suppose, in your case, you're creating a 2-minute flash movie, and you expect your student to be able to get it from their home. I'm just creating a scenario. Do you know enough about your student who will be at a distance using your materials? What it means, do they have access to the internet from home? You know, how they're accessing it, what time they'll be doing it. So do you have enough information about your audience, your students? When they come to your classes, they are one type of student. Their characteristics, right? But when you ask them to use your flash program from their home, they are a different kind of students with a different kind of characteristics. Does it make sense? Because they will be under what supervision? What sources will be available to them? And it also changes your behavior. In the class, you can control them. You can ask them to shut up or you ask them to leave. But when you put on the internet, they might want to talk to you through email. Are you going to be available there? You see? So the characteristics of your student changes like water. In what conditions and where you put them. So think about your student. Do you have enough information about that? So as you challenge yourself, do I know my students? So I'm offering these courses throughout the world, like through Asian Virtual University. So do I have enough information about these people throughout the world? And I have to be very sensitive about their issues. Because if I missed out one student, he's going to go to the internet, don't take class with him. It's bad. So that's how it's been throughout the world. People can share information, knowing your student. Goal. Have you provided in your class, whatever computer science or chemistry class, have you told your students what is the goal in the syllabus? What is actually the bigger thing they can achieve from your course? From e-learning, you have to do that. You are trying to do e-learning. Have you ever challenged the attributes of digital content that you're using multimedia, text, audio, video? Have you ever think about whether they're useful, they're right fit? You just created it. The area you're creating this flash, is it good for what you are doing to teach them? While you're doing your project, you must have thought about something. Should I use Flash or I use PowerPoint? Do not think about programming part of it. That comes later. So now the medium, PowerPoint, medium is Flash, internet, right? Now my question in this issue, are you appropriately using good picture or writing it good text or using audio? Text, audio, video, animation, these are multimedia attributes. Are you appropriately using it for your project? Design, this is a very mega thing. I already talked about this. Design issue. As I talked to you about, when a professor comes in, someone stands up. And when I ask you to sit, you will sit. And I teach, you'll learn. I am the sage on the stage, like big guy. And I am the most knowledgeable in this classroom. And you students, quietly just listen to me. And you ask questions when I ask you to. This is like didactic. Didactic means instructor-led. Instructor is the sage on the stage. He is the main guy. Now, in e-learning, when you're designing e-learning, you can be didactic or you can be facilitative. Meaning that instead of the sage on the stage, main guy, you can be guide on the side like that. They're talking, they're learning, you facilitate them. I know many of you probably don't do that, which is culture. And some people in the US also don't do that. But it needs the big, different philosophy of your education. Do you want to be more like didactic or are you going to be more like facilitative? Or you're going to be combining both? I try to combine. When I see that I have to make this point strong because I know more than him, because I read more than him on this, I can be didactic. I say, okay, I know it, please listen to me, this is what it is. But when it comes to situations that I'm not sure that I can teach him well, but I try to create rich learning resources. At least I can do that. So in designing e-learning, you need to think about what kind of instructor you are, what kind of teacher you are. Do you want to be didactic? Are you going to a driver's seat or are you going to let the students be on the driver's seat? Depending on what you're trying to teach. In our field of instructional design, there are two ways of thinking. One is instructivist, means behaviorist. They tend to be more instructor-led. There's another domain of knowledge, pedagogy is called constructivist. They are the people who would let the students on the driver's seat, but they would provide a lot of facilitation, provide a lot of resources. If you just started to just criticizing, complaining your systems, you're just doing, you become frustrated. In this world, be creative. Let your students, because one of these days, this student who is going to accuse you of not being able to get their mind to the level they can go. Because the opportunity is there. It's a global village. Now, the organization, of course, is basically, are you teaching addition before multiplication, right? You should not teach multiplication or division before they know addition and subtraction, right? It's a real organization. Because if you missed one out there, it will be a lot of problem for you. Very simple common sense. Methods, techniques. What kind of technique are you going to use? Like I said, there are so many instructional techniques and strategies. When I say strategies and techniques are basically the methods, techniques, strategies, the same ideas. Remember I talked about collaborative learning? I said collaboration, right? Collaborative learning. Now there could be two types of collaboration. Sometimes you're talking about global warming. You could invite someone from the government who talks about a chemical engineer who can come in your class. He can speak about global warming and their impact. So that will be outside collaboration. That means someone from outside coming into your class, collaborating with students and teaching them. There could be inside collaboration, meaning that someone in the class, one of your students is collaborating with your other student. So collaboration can happen between inside collaboration between students and outside collaboration. A chemist person is coming from outside, collaborating with the student's project. These two students are working together. It is an inside collaboration. So the collaborative learning can be divided into inside collaborative, outside collaboration. And online, can you use it? Obviously. When you ask two students to exchange email and forum and do a project online, that is inside collaboration. And at the same time, you can say someone from overseas, other country, help them through email. That is outside collaboration. So instruction strategy under this pedagogy is collaborative learning, inside or outside. Ideas for preparing e-learning professional in Nepal and other Asian countries. So I realized that since going from Bangladesh, the area of instructional design, very selected few universities offer these courses. And many of our teachers from here don't get a chance, like expensive colleges, English, test, so many things. So I'm thinking about opening up some ideas so that, you'll be benefited within your own way. But let's see what I mean by this. Actually, what I see that there is a tremendous need for professionals, teachers and trainers to have background in instruction design in Nepal. Because you have the technology. You know your subject so well. All is needed a middle thing, It connects you. Instruction design knowledge can help you as a teacher. Because instruction is like a breeze. You know the content, your subject, chemistry or physics or computer science, here are the technologies. But how to connect them together, breeze them together is the instruction design. I think it's needed. It's needed in the United States too. All countries is needed. So I really like to see that many of you become involved with more e-learning. You're thinking the bandwidth is a problem now, don't have access to the online. You'll be surprised to see that the cell phone could be a medium of e-learning. The cost is going to go down. Infrastructure is going to improve. So I like to see that will happen, but at the same time you have to ready for instruction design. You see, you have one tool, which is technical tool, but the teaching tool is the instructional design. So I would like you to see that you, as these new things coming up, the technology, you are also ready pedagogically, using the locally available technology. When I say available technology, that could be a person, a farmer, who knows this subject so well. He's also a locally available technology for you. Resources. In November, I was invited by USAID. In India, I feel that, again, these people coming back, we need instructional design. None of the universities here are offering instructional design. But one, I think, some institution offering it, but not to the level that they would like to have. And this article that Digital Learning interviewed me, here I said that it's going to be so difficult for a university to open up instructional design. You have to have local persons to get doctorate degree from US, because instructional design, the Dr. Insang from Indian University, mostly from United States. I think Australia is doing a little bit. It's in US-based instructional design mostly, because it's Skinner from there. So it is digital learning. In here, I kind of declared that I'm going to open up something called Asian Virtual University. I say it is a great pleasure that I would like to inform that I took the leadership role in developing several e-learning instructional design courses that we offer to the Asian Virtual University. So that will bring instructional design training to you. You don't have to go. Let me do this. The site is asianvu.com. So to the instructional design, you don't have to go to the US. The courses will be all developed using a learning management system called Moodle. So you can see, and I will have a local partner. Like India, I have like a Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. And those professors are trained by me. Some of them have PhDs from the United States in instructional design and technology. We maybe develop someone from here who can understand this thing. Then he could be a facilitator for teachers from here who can take this instructional design e-learning certificate program. So it will be 4 credit courses. Later on, you can use this to get a master's degree from US institutions or whatever. So the whole idea, because we are realizing it, that many of you would not be able to go to US and getting knowledge of instructional design, and it can be very rightfully taught, which I did through George Washington University, to people all over the world. And then you learn, you do interactive work using, and I'm very concerned with bandwidth efficiency. Some of the materials you'll not be able to get it here, so we'll have alternative for you. But someone will facilitate here in Nepal. Okay? And that person, I'm really teaching the course. Course is coming to you. But that qualified facilitator in Nepal would do this to you, probably meet you once a month in a class like this, and then rest of the time through email or the phone, or meet you in person. There are 4 courses. Each course you do a practical project. So he will be a consultant. So when you get it done, so you get a certified e-learning certificate from the US. So I think references for this talk is these 3 books. To learn about their framework, my framework, you can visit books2read.com. My homepage is badulkhan.com/Khan.